Revealing backstory and exposition in a TTRPG is something that I, despite feeling fairly confident in my ability to narratively push a story forward, never quite feel 100% a master. And I'm willing to bet that nearly any TTRPG player, veteran or new, finds a similar issue for this. After all, in order to share your backstory, you must somehow get each and every other player at the table invested in the story that you have put your passion, sweat, and tears into as much as you have. So the question is, how do you do that without being that person at your table? Well, honestly, there's a lot of reasons that this is difficult to do in the first place. I mean, how many times have we tried to reveal anything at a backstory and it's just felt kind of awkward? A lot of people will start to feel that main character syndrome, you know, where you're like, I don't want to take too much time at the table. I don't want to talk about my character. I want to let everybody else have fun, have the spotlight. But the truth is, hey, buddy, you're an actor at the stage here. You are participating in the play just as much as everybody else. And when the spotlight is on you, it's time to strut your stuff. If you are not as invested into the story as everybody else is on that stage, or in this case, at the table, it's not as fun for everybody. It's no fun to have one person being a fuddy duddy. Imagine you're all up there in a musical. You're all singing your hearts out, doing your best, performing the performance of a lifetime. And then there's this one guy in the corner and the spotlight goes on him for his one line because that's all he's even allowed himself to participate in. And he goes, I didn't go into that with any bit in mind. He sings bad. He sings bad is what I'm trying to say. And he doesn't sing bad because he's trying too hard. It's because he's not trying at all. He just doesn't care. Nobody's gonna have as much fun. It doesn't matter how much everybody else is participating and having fun. That's going to suck away a lot of the enjoyment that everybody else is going to have at the table. You must participate. Don't let main character syndrome get in the way. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some people who try too hard to put in, you know, the work to show their backstory.
After I reveal my tale to you, everything will become crystal clear. I found out my parents were... No child should ever have to endure that. So I went on the road. And soon thereafter was married. And she was all, yes way. And I was like... But I've told you too much already.
In which case, it just doesn't feel natural, which is a totally other opposite end of the spectrum reason of why it's difficult to reveal your backstory. You want so bad to reveal it. You want to tell everybody. You want to have that moment. You've been thinking about it in your head. You've been thinking about how you want to do this. And then when you finally get up onto the stage, the spotlight, the table, whatever, and tell your backstory, it's disappointing at best. But nobody seems to care because it's kind of awkward. You know, it's kind of like the guy who just said, I want to be your friend forever. I want to be a modern dancer. What a super weird thing to say that came out of nowhere. And, well, that was a super weird thing to say that came out of nowhere. Maybe musicals are on my mind. Anyways, the point is, yeah, no, it's difficult to reveal your backstory in a way that feels natural for the story and also something that everybody else could participate in. That's really a big reason of why so many people are nervous to make new characters, because you have to get everybody to invest into something again and again and again. So how do you do that? Honestly, as I thought about this subject and put a lot of thought into how I wanted to present everything, I came back to the same thing over and over again. It is okay to be the main character, as long as you recognize that your story is boring when you're alone. Sharing the spotlight by making it a situation where the backstory is revealed directly because of others is the, and I mean the main way of getting other people to care about your backstory. The best way that I could put it is, if you're weaving a tapestry and other people are on other ends of this blanket weaving the tapestry, is it a blanket or is it a tapestry? If other people are on the ends of this, we're gonna call it a tapestry. Other ends of the tapestry weaving from other ends and you're supposed to meet in the middle, but one person's using a different color and a different weaving technique and a different pattern, no one's gonna want to participate with that person. Everybody else is getting exciting because they're making all the things, they're doing all the correct processes, and then there's this guy.
Get a load of this guy.
We're all just gonna try and go around him because he's not even trying to work with us. Now, that's honestly not my best analogy in the world, but I think it is a pretty good indication of what I'm trying to say here. If you're not participating in the proper way with everybody else, no one will care about your backstory because you're all creating a story together. Think about any of your favorite pieces of media. If you have characters who you like, think about how often their character interacted with the rest. Think about how often their story was directly influenced by other people at the table. If you're revealing your backstory, personally, in my opinion, for any other reason than an action that somebody else took, I think it's probably gonna fall flat. Now, I'm willing to admit that I could be wrong, and there's plenty of other examples, but like for the most part, your backstory should only be revealed if somebody else brought something up, if somebody else did something, and This sounds specific, but honestly, it could be extremely vague. Somebody could do something in combat and your character could notice it and address it with them later.
Boy, you're really going for it over there, huh? I think those people were just hiding. I don't give a shit. Okay, Morty, now you're just shooting corpses.
They could do something incredibly brutal and violent, and then the barbarian comes to them after the fight and says, hey, I was raised in a situation where violence was the norm, and I've seen people use their rage for a lot of crazy stuff. I just want you to know that I've also seen it go bad. I don't want you to try too hard, to embrace that side of you. It can be dangerous. Now you've done two things. You've expressed interest in their character because of their action, and also you've created an action of which they may now be able to, share their backstory. Why are they angry? They may share that. All right, they've created a new action. You can explain to them, well, my tribe did this and this and this, and that's actually why I got kicked out of it. Now you've shared that. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That is the way most exposition happens in good storytelling. Through dialogue that is natural and came up because it made sense to come up. So the truth is you shouldn't be looking for opportunities to reveal your backstory. You should be looking for opportunities to act based off of other people's actions, and your backstory is just the lens of which you're looking through that. That's most of the time going to do like 90% of the legwork of revealing your backstory in a natural way. And I'm speaking about this passionately, and I feel like I may be making it sound too easy, but there are very specific techniques that I have done in my games to make this a very natural process. One of the things that I do in every game that I play in is I will make a list of questions for every single player character based on reasons why my character would be interested in them. For example, in one of the games I play what is essentially a demon. He is meant to be this very boisterous and creepy and manipulative character. And so he's always looking for chances to manipulate the other player character. And so in each session, anytime they do anything that catches my interest, I will write down a question. One of them will do something like go out of their way to help the needy, and my character will write down why do they feel they need to do that. Now that's something that's interesting to them because, that's something he could potentially manipulate. And also, it's a reason for me to interact with their character and learn more about their backstory. And then that's inevitably going to lead to, hey, why do you want to know that about me? Now they're asking about my backstory. See, it's all about actions and reactions. And making this list of questions is honestly very easy to do. Anytime anybody says anything that catches your ear, just write it down. One time fairly recently, one of the player characters who I was playing with had his character mention his father extremely briefly. I mean, it was a very subtle thing, just a one-off thing. And the way that he said it just made me go, interesting that he thought to bring his father up. I will write that down. A few sessions later, my character's having a really rough time. Also kind of had a father figure. Went to talk to him and said, hey, do you have issues with your dad? Can we talk about that? There you go. Now I got to learn more about his backstory. He gets to learn more about mine. These questions are natural exposition for your game that gets everybody invested into each other, and I don't even have to try to reveal my backstory at this point. It's just gonna happen naturally just because I'm using it as the lens to ask questions for other people. Questions are, honestly, the most powerful tool in D&D when it comes to the narrative sense. And also, honestly, gameplay-wise. If you want to get better at mechanics, you can look at how a character does something and ask questions. Hey, how'd you get that magic? Where'd you get that magic item? How'd you learn that skill? And then you can ask the Dungeon Master, is there a way my character could learn that skill? Now you've taken an interest in more than just their backstory, now you're interested in the stuff they can do. And maybe you could learn that mechanically later down the line. It leads to opportunity for more game, honestly, is the best way that I could put it.
You there! You lot! Hello! Wow! Who are you all? Look at this, magical items from head to toe. Why, I've never seen anything quite like it.
Pouring it on a little thick, friend. What's up?
Doty, come here, will you? Take this down.
But I would like to take a second to slow down because I think I'm getting a little excited talking about this. This is one of my favorite topics. So, let's go back to that spotlight that I talked about earlier. Those of you who have been watching my channel for a long time may remember I once made a video about my concept of the spotlight. The spotlight in my games is how you run a game. The spotlight is wherever the scene is directed, whoever the scene is focused on. And everybody must respect the spotlight.
It's clear that nobody has been here for some time and the entire place has been abandoned. Shy J, what do you do? I see that statue in the middle there. I actually kind of want to go investigate that real quick and see what that's about. Sure, as you approach the statue, you can see it's made out of some sort of cheap metal made to resemble a dragon. The closer you get, you can see that it's sort of rusted all over, and as you investigate, you can actually see there looks to be some sort of button, kind of a bright red one, sitting behind one of its legs. What do? Push the button. Okay, so you push the button, and immediately hear this. As part of the dragon opens, it makes this. Roll initiative. What do you mean, Rokan?
Am I talking to two characters because they're talking to an NPC? The spotlight is on us. And everybody else must respect that. You can whisper amongst yourself, you can do your thing, that's fine. But if you start to get too loud, get too rowdy, or not pay attention to the scene, hey, spotlight, let's focus on this. That is, I make it seem like it's a really enforced rule, but honestly, my players are really good about this. But it is still something that is incredibly helpful to remind people what's going on. You just say the word spotlight and everybody knows, hey, that's what's happening. You're good. Let's all focus on this. Let's play the game we all came here to play. And if we need a break, we'll take a break. Let's be honest. A lot of us who play this game are just hyperactive kids at a table who just want to play with our toys. And that's just how it goes, and that's fine. We're all there to have fun. But the spotlight does help sort of direct that. And when the spotlight is on characters, they're allowed to have that scene. Same as a musical. When the spotlight goes on somebody, you expect them to sing. You don't just expect them to sing, you expect them to give it their all. The spotlight's on them. It's time for that vibrato. It's time for that dramatic stake. It's time for them to be the star. So why would you shy away from it when the DM is putting the spotlight on you in the game? When it's time to share your backstory, share it. And when it's time to let the spotlight go to somebody else, let it go. I always say to allow the spotlight to stay on you for one good single scene each session. Have that moment to just indulge a little bit. We're all there to be a little dramatic, to have fun, to have our moment. We all throughout the week waiting for our sessions think about that time where we get to do the really cool thing. So let yourself be cool for that one scene. Let it happen. When it's time to let that go, and we'll keep with the musical idea for this, walk around the stage, get somebody else in the spotlight, and then walk away. See, that's the thing about the spotlight, is it's meant to be shared. It follows you so you can take it to somebody else. In a game sense, what this means is I recently have had a lot of spotlight time in my campaign, and to the guys who I play with, I'm so sorry. I'm really trying to find a way to take a step back. I do have main character syndrome. I'm sure that's shocking, I know, when you watch my channel, but I do tend to have main character syndrome when I play my games, and I'm trying very hard to avoid doing that. And so I'm trying to get better at this concept of passing off the spotlight. And so one of the things that I did is my character had had a really rough time, and so he went to go talk to the player character I talked about earlier about his father. And I intentionally asked him that question. I intentionally got that up, and I tried to pass the spotlight over to him so that he could talk about his backstory. Now, unfortunately, I did choose the worst player to do this with because this was my good friend Aaron, who is terrible, no offense, Aaron, terrible, no offense, Aaron, terrible at sharing his character's backstory. He stays caged and closed. He doesn't say anything. So I make sure to ask him questions about it because I'm not going to let him keep hiding in there. But I mean, he's getting a lot better at it, and so I'll give him a little bit of, credit for that. However, he did not take the spotlight. He did for a little bit. He took it for a moment, and I was really proud of him for it. He told a decent amount of it, but then he passed it back, and so I had to go find somebody else to pass the spotlight off to. But the point is, when it is on you, feel good, enjoy it, let the spotlight be on you, take that moment, and then make sure to pass it off to somebody. Go ask them a question about what happened, ask them advice for what's going on, or just point towards somebody else, or just look at the DM, and I do this a lot, honestly, and just say, okay, that's good, thank you, whatever else is going on, and just stay quiet. Don't say anything. If you're a yapper like me, just don't talk anymore. Give yourself about 30 minutes before you say anything again. I legitimately have to do that at my table. I get so excited playing D&D. I just want to be in the scene. And that's pretty much why I'm the dungeon master most of the time, because I just always want to be involved. And at least as the DM, you're expected to always be involved, And then lastly, with this whole spotlight scenario, also remember that there's not just one spotlight in most theaters. In fact, there are smaller spotlights that will focus on other people to show their reactions relevant to the scene. This is something that's also important in D&D. When people are talking about your character, even if you're not involved in the scene, don't you pay attention? Don't you look? Don't you enjoy hearing them talk about your character? Yeah, well, everybody feels that way. We all like to feel like we're involved in this, right? Like it's cool that we're all participating in the story. That's why we're playing. That's why we're playing the D&Ds, right? And so you need to give other people the chance to show their reactions. You need to make sure that you're mentioning their characters in your scene so they can react. You need to be paying attention to them so you can show your reactions. You're all collaborating at the scene And this also means that everybody's more willing to share their backstory because you know that everybody else is paying attention. It's easy to get distracted at the table. I am also very bad at this. However, it is important to focus on this and to really find a way to do it all properly, to bring it all together, to create that awesome story. And that's D&D. That's TTRPG. That is tabletop roleplay. So go out into the world, make it your own. Never forget to play your role. And don't listen to my wife as she gives the call to action because she's still, she left and I'm doing this whole batch recording thing. So like, comment, subscribe. Really, go out into the world and do something nice for somebody today. Seriously, just do something nice for somebody. Even if it's just for you. The world could use a lot of that. And we have every bit of chance to provide it.